Welcome back to our next session here on Fast Casual Global. And today's topic, or this topic, is really going to be exploring kind of the global roadmap of fast casual and kind of the direction of how this industry is evolving. So we're going to jump into it with Steph So, who is the head of digital experience at Shake Shack. So Steph, welcome.
Hi, nice to be here.
Yeah, and then also joining us is Mr. Aaron Noveshen, who is the founder and CEO of Culinary Edge and, of course, Starbird Chicken. Great to have you back on the network here, Aaron.
Good morning. Great to be here, Paul, Steph.
All right, so this is going to be fun. I think one is we've got kind of an approach here of looking at kind of not only the roadmap from a perspective of what fast casual is doing here in the U.S., but I want to kind of get you both of your opinions. Aaron, you've worked with a lot of different concepts worldwide. Steph, obviously, Shake Shack has amazing footprints across the globe. So I really want to kind of get you guys' programs and dive into it. Steph, I want to kind of start with you a little bit. Kind of your role at Shake Shack. What are you kind of in charge of there?
Yeah, thank you, and thanks for having me. I oversee digital experience here at Shake Shack, which we think about in three prongs. The first is our digital marketing, so that's everything from performance marketing, CRM and lifecycle programming, email, push notifications. The second prong of my work is really focused around our third-party delivery channels and partners. So that is our, relationship with Grubhub, Uber Eats, DoorDash, Postmates, and others. And the last prong of my team is really focused on digital product, which it can be, can't be understated how important that's been over the last year.
Oh, yeah.
Digital product includes focusing on our development of our app and our web, new features on our kiosk, new tools for our in-Shack teams to make them more productive over this really challenging year. So that's been kind of my focus here.
Well, you're definitely in the right part of the industry right now. There's a lot of demand for teams like yours that are obviously addressing all of these bigger challenges for sure. Aaron, with your role, obviously Culinary Edge, you guys have been doing a lot of industry consulting and development within multiple brands, but also you have your own lab right there with Starbird Chicken. So kind of explain the connection between the two.
Sure, thanks. We're very fortunate to have a lab, but it's not just a lab, it's a real restaurant company that's growing and thriving in this environment. Right. And so the Culinary Edge is an innovation agency. We're based in San Francisco, California. We work with top restaurant companies, food service manufacturers, and some CPG, consumer packaged goods companies, all around food. And it's about creating food experiences is what we do at the Culinary Edge. Right. Everything from branding to menu development to strategy to operational execution. So a few years back, our team here said, hey, we've been making a lot of folks a lot of money. We also thought we'd put our money where our mouth is, literally, and start our own restaurant company to be able to test new innovation, to be able to identify a market segment, which we saw about 5 years ago was chicken was going to be big, and that's clearly proven to be the case. And we now have 8 restaurants at Starbird, 4 street side restaurants, brick and mortar, 2 ghost kitchens, a stadium restaurant, and also a licensing deal in the airport. So the relationship is really that the Culinary Edge is the maybe the intel inside, right? And the driving force on brand, culinary, and strategy for Starbird, along with a lot of our market partners.
Yeah, very cool. Well, I think both of your experiences and also your current positions and what you guys are doing in the industry are perfect for kind of giving a direction of where fast casual is moving. And I want to start with, when you look at, and this is for both of you, I'd like to kind of get your input. Many people, they have their big bullseye at the beginning of the year or maybe beginning of a campaign or something of what is the most challenging thing that they've got to overcome. Steph, when you look at where Shake Shack's current position is, what is in the center of your bullseye today?
Yeah, I mean, every restaurant will tell you that the most challenging thing we have to overcome right now is the pandemic and, the ability to serve our guests safely and in the fashion that we're used to. Shake Shack is a hospitality led brand. Our whole entire concept was built around being a community gathering place, which has been the opposite of what COVID-19 would like us to do for the last year. So the bullseye for us is really how can we serve and communicate that hospitality, bring that feeling to the guest in a really kind of altered state. And then I think if you ask me that, so that would be my answer to your question maybe 6 months ago. Sitting here now, I think what we're actually looking at is how do we come out of this? And
Right.
what are the ways we can make our customer and our guest feel really comfortable coming into our restaurants as we start to recover as a nation and also as a restaurant community. So it's been a very interesting bullseye for us to tackle from a digital perspective. What are the ways that we can allow our guests to order ahead of coming to a restaurant and then kind of suss out the scene when they get there? We want them to feel welcomed and comfortable to sit down if they choose that, but equally have a great experience if their choice is to still take that food away and go home and have it in the comfort of their home. So I think a lot of our roadmap and also how we're going to operate in the coming year is really focused on bringing that all together in a more hybrid format. Whereas if you'd asked us a couple years ago, we were all about that in-restaurant experience and making that the focal point of our brand.
Yeah, and I think you're on to the point of the hybrid approach. So many concepts have really kind of gone all in on that. Aaron, when you look at your checklist of things that you've got to prepare to kind of get Starbird and also the Culinary Edge kind of moving in this new direction that really is kind of consumer driven at this point, and we're kind of reacting to a current market condition. What are you looking at that's most important to you right now?
Sure. I mean, our guiding principles that have really helped us thrive during the pandemic over this last year almost now, really having three key focuses. One is the safety of our team. The second is engaging and being a positive influence and partner to our community. And the third is being conscious of business health, right? Because without these three things, we wouldn't be able to have the successes that we have had. Right. The headwinds that we face right now are really it's a new economic model, right? Where so much is shifting to delivery and off premise. We need to ensure that our model is based, our pricing structures, our relationships with third party delivery companies are all aligned to create an economic model that works. We've been very lucky and hopefully intentionally made some moves that have allowed for Starbird to really boom. We had positive comps of over 30% last year, and there's not a lot of restaurant companies who've shared in that, and that's system wide. And January we were up 47%. So it's what we've built before is really doing a great job to continue into the new year. And so on the Culinary Edge side, we're really realizing that it's how do you create a frictionless way for the consumer to interface with your brand. A lot of that's digital, some of it's analog, right? And there's a new customer experience, guest experience that needs to happen, and we're really coaching and working with our clients to create great food and guest experiences within the four walls for today and for the future, but also how to interface with them through the virtual brand development that we work on and creating new ways to get digital real estate on third-party sites to really grow their sales and reach new guests.
Yeah. Well, okay. So you're going in that direction of this kind of the all-in approach, and I want to ask you, when you look at where the current market is, and I'm getting feedback from so many different C-level and brand leaders, that there is kind of some I won't call it not contention, just different opinions on where this is going. Aaron, and this is also for you, Steph. Do you think that this shift in consumer is a permanent shift into, more online delivery, interaction, digital, or do you feel like this could be a temporary situation?
I think that people have learned new behaviors, right? There's probably hundreds of thousands of people who never used a digital interface to have food delivered to their home prior to now.
Right.
And so there's a benefit to that experience that's not going to go away, right? I think there will be a dip, there will be less frequency Many brands have doubled their digital sales, right? So is it going to stay at double? Maybe not. Our prediction is that we're going to stay at 80% of that, but we're going to get back our dine-in. We're going to get back
Right.
our catering. We're going to have more people wanting to get out and be around others. Like Steph said, a gathering place for the community. Our dining rooms are designed in a way that creates comfort and interactivity, and we still plan to have people enjoy those experiences. So we're very bullish on off-premise. We continue to be, and we think that business is not going away. And we will also be there to support and serve those guests who, want an escape from the house and want to spend 30 to 45 minutes on the patio or in our dining room hanging out.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so Steph, when you look at kind of where Shake Shack is, obviously you guys have these amazing locations. They kind of draw you in. The ambiance is, top notch, usually city center. How have you guys been able to kind of make that shift between that kind of, almost Taj Mahal approach to moving to digital? Because that seems like a huge leap to get people to move in that direction.
I mean, just picking up off of what Aaron just said, I think we actually saw our digital customer base triple over this last, COVID time period, which was shocking and also very exciting. We spent a lot of effort acquiring guests onto our digital channels to the tune of, I think, 1.8 million now sitting in our digital database, which is really exciting to us. In terms of what that means for the physical location, it almost was operating like a pickup point for some time. And that was an interesting experience for us, but we wanted to do more and make more of it. Our teams are used to interacting with guests and used to making that experience more than just a pickup and a drop off. So one of the things we really focused on was how can we make that digital experience more enhanced and more hospitable? So we did more in terms of adding new pickup areas. We added some that were windows that were externally facing that you can walk up to or drive up to. And the biggest thing that we launched that we were super proud of in terms of an ability to bring hospitality to the guest was our curbside product. Curbside is part of our Shack Track program. Shack Track is really our off-premise ordering for on-premise pickup. And what was exciting about curbside was it allowed the guest to stay in the car, have a really comfortable and safe experience, and it allowed a team member to directly interact with that guest on a one-on-one and really bring the food directly out to the guest in their car. We saw really great acquisition of new guests to Shake Shack once we launched that product. And we also heard from our teams that it was just kind of an extension, a natural extension of what they were used to in the pre-COVID days of actually getting to interact with guests in the restaurant. It felt kind of right. So I think, to your question about whether these digital guests are going to stay or whether it all kind of boomerangs back when we come out of this, we really are betting on these guests to stay. We really feel that we can deliver digital hospitality in a new way. We're working on cultivating that guest across digital channels with our CRM programs more than ever. And we're working on building, a loyalty program that will really keep them coming back. So we think it's here to stay. It'll be an exciting, I know I said hybrid, but I think it will be an exciting way to build both that in-Shack experience and that digital experience to really marry up.
Yeah, you guys have entered into some drive-through locations now. So we've seen some development going in that direction. Obviously with Starbird, you guys already are in that direction right now, Aaron. Do you feel like fast casual?
No drive-throughs at Starbird.
No drive-throughs?
Yeah.
Okay.
No drive-throughs.
Right.
The whole idea is to not have to have a drive-through.
Okay.
The sales. That's the holy grail for us. Not to cut you off. Yeah.
No, not at all. Do you feel that drive-through could be an answer, though, with some of these unique business models that are being put out? Because we've seen pickup, the curbside delivery of fast casual. We've seen kind of that grab-and-go window, like you're mentioning, and then drive-through. I mean, how far could this go in terms of fast casual development? Either one of you can take that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously.
We have been pretty.
Go ahead, Steph.
Yeah, we have been pretty open about developing the drive-throughs and hoping to launch them, a few of them before the end of the year. I think it's a really interesting question because I almost view drive-through as a throwback. drive-through was how you used to get food in a way that was frictionless. And I almost wonder whether the new drive-through can be equally as compelling for today's digital guest, because it's an on-premise order. I think it's a little bit different than what our, COVID customer is used to, which is being able to time their order, place a pickup time and actually reliably pick it up at that time. Drive-through is really an on-premise situation. I think it's a little bit more challenging. One of the things we're challenging ourselves to do in the development of this is to make it feel different, make it feel modern. Shake Shack as a brand is all about elevating the classics and putting a modern twist on it. So we think there will be a way to do it in a way that kind of is a throwback in a modern way that gives you a sense of convenience and safety that everybody's looking for now, but less of that frustrating experience of having to yell out of your car to the speaker. And we also hope that it can be an enjoyable and fun experience that's digitally enabled.
Yeah, for sure. Aaron, you mentioned, when you guys have kind of gone some different directions there, with digital being such a big part of this, obviously the app experience, the whole idea of takeout and delivery, whether you're going third party or if it's direct to takeout, have you seen any kind of movement in one way or the other for your brand? Has third party still been the dominant force, or are you seeing some direct to takeout movement? And when I say that, meaning I go in the app and I come and pick up the food myself.
Yeah, our order ahead app setup has been strong since day one. We launched the brand with an app, and that's our number one channel. Is the way that people order from Starbird is via the app or web today for pickup. And we love that experience because they can time it the way they want to. The accuracy is best. There's no human error. It takes the least amount of touch points from having to have cashiers in one place versus another, which during the pandemic is very difficult. So we continue to grow that business. It's still our number one channel. Delivery, and we do direct delivery through our app or web, and that's the area that we want to grow the most. We have great relationships with our third-party delivery partners, and we know that they're an essential part of our business model, although we like to have a relationship with our guests and have the data to communicate to them directly. So while we use the logistics side of our third-party delivery folks on app-driven orders that are generated through our channels, we prefer to have them in our channel so that we can communicate with them, market to them, understand what their orders look like more, and manage the relationship, because we really want to have a good relationship with our team members that is Starbird driven. And so we're trying to shift as much as we can to that platform. It's slow going, but that's grown tremendously too, and we will continue to invest in that.
Yeah, I'm hearing that from a lot of brands, is the movement to going direct to consumer and trying to surpass or kind of get past the point of where you're solely dependent upon third party. Some interesting data here we just pulled from January, and this was from our top 100 track, where we look at top 100 fast casual concepts, what kind of activity we're seeing in terms of consumers. And in January, the number on direct takeout was rising to about 23% of some of these, orders away from restaurant, versus 42%, which was slightly down from third party, which had been dominating pretty much all of the any kind of food that was being taken away. With that kind of starting to balance out here, do you feel like the consumer has recognized what's happening here and saying, maybe I'm not ready to pay that extra fee, or I want to give that restaurant more support and kind of work a little bit here to keep that guy open and running and doing those kind of things? Your thoughts on that? We'll start with you, Steph.
Yeah, I think it gives us so much joy to see that balance shifting, and not because we don't have great relationships with our third-party partners. We feel very strongly that we like to use them as a megaphone for fun campaigns. These delivery partners have really, really big microphones and big channels and a lot of guests in their database. So we kind of view that partnership as an opportunity to partner with a big microphone and go loud around messaging, whether it's around a cultural moment that really speaks to delivery, You can think of some sporting events that are coming up that folks are watching on the couch that would be great to do delivery for. So we love them as a partner in that way. But everything Aaron said is really right around going direct. I think that the consumer at the end of the day wants to support restaurants directly. And I think there have been some challenging stories about the commissions that are charged to restaurants on channels that are not direct. So Shake Shack is in the process of rolling out nationwide delivery through our app and web, which we're very, very excited about. And in our early pilot cities, we are seeing great adoption, similar to the numbers that you shared. I think that it's a balance. I think it will be a balance that may swing a bit more towards direct and to restaurants who have their own direct channels for exactly the reason that the customer also wants that direct relationship with brands. I think as restaurants are rewarding customers and recognizing them and personalizing the experience so that that digital experience feels much more personal, when you go direct, I think that will ultimately be the choice that the consumer will make for their favorite restaurants. I don't think it will be the choice the consumer will make for every restaurant. So, it's kind of an interesting balance that as a marketer, we have to think about from a marketing side, how can we get into that top 5 restaurants for our consumer and have them really choose our app, our experience, and more often go direct when they can. So
for sure.
It's an exciting evolution.
I think it's a great move. Aaron, I want to ask you, because you get a chance to work with a lot of different companies and you've seen so much in the industry around this very topic. Where do you think the happy medium is in terms, because this really boils down to fees. Where do you think the happy medium is? Would it be if Uber came to you today or Postmates or any of the third parties came to you today and say, hey, we have a new program, we're going to charge 10%. That's going to be our fee. And we're going to share data with you, the customer data with you. I know that's a nirvana. Would that be the number that you would say, okay, all bets are off, we're going to kind of jump into this because this is going to cost us less money to do this kind of program versus trying to develop something on our own? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that if you look historically at what is the true cost of delivery to a company that does their own delivery, historically it runs in the high 20%, right? To have a fleet, have your own drivers, have the insurance, the costs, all these things, the management, the hiring, the turnover, et cetera. And I remember analyzing that 25 years ago, right? And it really hasn't changed that much. It's pretty interesting. What restaurants can't do today as well as the Ubers or DoorDashes of the world is manage logistics. Their logistics setups, their ability to have a driver who might be within 5 blocks of your restaurant get pinged and swing by and really limiting the downtime. That's really the goal, is how do you eliminate as much downtime, which equals cost. And then, the future is also about how do you deliver multiple brands in one car, or how do you, in a ghost kitchen environment, pick up 3 different orders and be able to drop it off in an area that may either combine multiple restaurants in one stop, or be able to drop them off. So these are the kind of things that are going to help drive down costs. The third-party delivery companies are not rolling in money yet, right? They're all losing money still, and the economics are not totally aligned. And so the only way that the price is going to come down for the restaurants is if it's the real price of delivery. So prices will likely increase to the consumer. Prices will also maybe stabilize for restaurants if they can get economies with their delivery partners, and as the delivery partners just become better and more efficient. As it relates to what's the right balance, we see, I think Steph was right. The third party folks have a great microphone. I love that term. They're really, we believe their best help for us is marketing to acquire new users and the logistics side. We don't want someone who knows and loves Starbird to go into a third-party delivery site, type in Starbird into the search bar, and then order food there, right? They already know they want Starbird to begin with, right? And so for the people who know they want Starbird to begin with, we want them to come through us. We appreciate and are willing to pay for acquiring new users through third-party platforms, it's only fair.
Sure.
They are marketing, they're introducing new guests, they deserve a bigger share of that. We want to balance that though with once we've established a relationship, and we'll still pay them on the back end for the logistics side. And so that's the balance that we're seeking, and we think it's really fair when there's a Google site that shows, if you search and you see Starbird, and basically you can say order now, and one of the third-party delivery sites has paid for that link and they can afford more.
Right.
Those are the kind of things that don't really work in a mutually beneficial world, because they have the dollars to control that
Sure.
in a way that we as a small to mid-sized business don't.
Yeah, and I would agree. I think those are some of the tactics that obviously do exist out there, and we understand why they're trying to drive revenue in their business, just like restaurants are trying to drive in our own businesses. And I think that is something that we've got to get past. It's still a question. I think no one really has come up with a great answer. There's some good theories out there as to what could happen in the next 5 years, which I'll be glad to share later. But I want to kind of get into kind of this convergence between the markets. All right, so pre-COVID, if you look back at the fast casual history in 2008, we had the economic downturn, and there was an explosion of brands because real estate was in a much better position. We saw just an unbelievable amount of brand development and new unit count. With QSR now and casual dining being forced to really deal with takeout and delivery, which they've never really dealt with before. QSR was 70-80% drive-through. Casual dining was 70-80% in restaurant. They're now being pushed into the middle, which is where fast casual kind of dominates. What are your thoughts on those categories encroaching on the fast casual space, especially when it talks about food away from the restaurant? Steph, let's go with your thought on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think, the convergence is really happening because of this very strange time frame that we're in terms of people really not being comfortable to eat indoors and have that fast casual indoor dining experience. I think we've seen a variety of places across the country that are opening up a bit more, and that balance is already shifting back. So I think there will always be room for these three models, which is there's the primarily takeout, primarily in-store, and then the hybrid. But it's super interesting to us, that convergence that you're talking about. Can some of our concepts really continue to be both and be both in an excellent way? I think it used to be that the takeout concept was almost a bit more down market, or at least, a lower price point and served a different purpose. Yeah. This pandemic has really challenged us to think about the takeaway experience as equally hospitable, equally experiential, and think about our brand and how we can be in our guests' home as opposed to the guests coming to our place. So, it's challenged marketing in a different way to think about what are the at-home things we can do. We've, over the course of the last year, we launched Shack Burger Kits, which allowed you to cook the food at home. We sold them through our restaurants. We sold them through various partners, and they were pretty successful. We also launched a content series that allowed folks to think about our food and how do you, actually cook different food inspired by Shake Shack at home. So giving folks the brand experience that's not really in restaurant. And lastly, we even expanded into retail for a little bit over the summer and launched Shack Camp, which was, we know you're all kind of stuck at home. What are the things you want to do that are Shack inspired? So I think it's really challenged brands to think beyond the box and beyond their space. And I think the convergence is going to be, can you make that takeout experience so exciting that you still feel very much a part of the brand, even though you're not eating in our physical space? I think, a few restaurants will come out of this that can really master that duality, which is going to be interesting and hopefully a new category within fast casual.
Yeah, I should probably say that the fast casual category is encroaching on those markets. When you look at it, because they are going into where they're winning some more QSR decisions and occasions. And obviously, they've always been after the casual dining dollar. So I definitely see that moving that direction. Your thoughts on that, Aaron?
Yeah, I think right now what we're seeing is the bigger challenge lies in the full service space, right? Because, if you're a restaurant chain that has 200, 300, 500 large box venues, and the consumer is going to continue to do more off premise, you're not leveraging that asset as well
Right.
as you were in the past.
Right.
So what can you do? There's really, there's two paths. One is as people do come back to restaurants, and they will, to win them, there's going to need to be greater focus on the experience, right? If you're
Sure.
going to go out and spend money, yes, there's the experience you'll have with people, but what's going to really create a wow factor? And that's going to come from food, that's going to come from innovation, it's going to come from service, and it's going to come from different forms of entertainment, right? A value of being in the space. The other is leveraging the asset through virtual brands and things of that nature, right? It's if you have empty space, you've got to make the most of it. It's harder for the brands that have so many existing footprints to invest in the evolution. New builds will look a lot different. They'll have greater design components to handle delivery and pickup, because if you're full service, you want your share of that delivery and pickup too, for the occasions that your consumers want those foods. So there'll be a smaller footprint of dining space. There'll be more access to off-premise, and there'll be new and fun and innovative ways that people are going to experience restaurants. And at the Culinary Edge, that's what we're extremely excited about, is partnering with folks to create the next great experiences for the dining space. Because if we don't up the game there, people have a 75-inch television and they've got whatever food they want to have at home, and they can have a dinner party. And if you don't win them back, right?
Yeah.
The millennials love to not go out. This was a trend before the pandemic, how cool it was to not go out. The pandemic kind of helped continue that practice, and we've got to be creative and innovative to win the consumer back.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there, because when you look at the casual dining category, that is going to be one that is going to be most challenged if they don't really amp up their game, which is going to be interesting. But I think that also, because now you're in the experiential dining category, and in many cases that doesn't necessarily compete with a 2 or 3 time per week occasion with my favorite fast casual brand. I'm going to do that maybe once every 2 weeks or once every 3 weeks, depending obviously on the price point. But I definitely think that's a direction, like you're saying, Aaron, that they'll have to step up their game to really kind of go down that line. I want to get you your ideas on this last question, and that is, we look at trends here in fast casual and where it's going here on this event. If you guys had one trend that you said we really have to stay on and watch this one closely, they can be the same, but what would you say that one trend is? We'll start with you, Steph.
Yeah, I think the shift to digital is the one I'm watching very, very closely. And it's exactly where you started this conversation, which is what's the healthy percentage of digital orders coming into a restaurant of our concept? And we debate this internally very ferociously, because we want people to be ordering and having that full scale experience at a Shake Shack, and we want to come back to that. And so the ferocious debate is, can you really do both really well? And so what I'll be watching over the next year is that digital percentage of sales. Is that going to continue to stay at that almost 50% that we've seen over the last year, or what's the healthy percentage of that? And I think, ultimately, to be a community gathering place, we actually have the theory that people will want that more than ever. So it's going to be an interesting thing to watch over the next year, whether you see in restaurant dining really pick back up to the levels that we saw before, or how far does the pendulum swing back? So that's what I'll be watching.
Good. What about you, Aaron? What do you have on your bullseye there?
It's chicken. Chicken is unstoppable, right? I mean, if you think about like the latest sort of big trends in food that occurred, you had this pizza trend that was going on, you had the burger trend, and I think about where the versatility of chicken, from form factor, from sandwiches to tenders to bites to nuggets to put it in a taco, compared to burgers, which are pretty singular dimensional. You're not seeing a lot of burger meat being put in other forms. I would say same with the pizzas, and it's a little bit one dimensional. And the cost, the ease of production, the health factor, I just think that chicken's going to have an incredibly long run, because it's fitting the need states of not only the consumer of today, but for the future.
Yeah. I will say, on Steph's defense, My 5-year-old loves the chicken nuggets at Shake Shack.
Well,
So
I have to jump into that, Aaron, because our last 2 limited time offers at Shake Shack have been chicken. So we
there you
had a
go.
very successful Q4 campaign around hot chicken, and we are in the midst of a very successful campaign around Korean style fried chicken. We couldn't agree more. I mean, we love
Yeah.
a burger before everything else, but
Sure.
I mean, chicken gives you a lot of those occasions, and we agree actually on the innovation
Definitely
around
expands
chicken.
it,
It's
for
been a
sure.
super fun product for us to introduce. So
Yeah.
love that that's what's first in your bullseye, because it's right around the bullseye for us too this year.
Hmm.
I can't wait. I haven't had a chance, Aaron, to get into a Starbird, but I have several friends that live near your stores, and they are raving about your product. So now they're getting me so I almost to a point where I'm gonna have to take a trip to the West Coast just to try
We
Starbird.
got to bring you out. We got to bring you out. Yeah, we have a absolute passion for it, and
I love it.
we're chef-driven company, so it's all about the food. I mean, I know
Yeah.
Shake Shack is very culinary driven and hospitality driven in its roots, and I'm a big follower of of Danny Meyer's beliefs and systems and way of thinking about our industry, and a great, not that he's a personal mentor, but he's a mentor in terms of a way of thinking. And so I have a
Yeah.
great respect of Shake Shack, and I wish someday we could be a quarter as successful as Shake Shack has been. So.
Well, I think both your brands are on the right track. Obviously, why we put you guys on this panel. Steph So of Shake Shack, great to have you. Thank you so much for stopping in. And of course, Aaron, great to always have you back here on the network. Thanks again for sharing your thoughts and ideas.
Sure thing. Take care. Have a great week.
All right, make sure and stay tuned right here for another session here on Fast Casual Global. You don't want to miss this next one. It's going to be a hit.